welcome everybody. Hi, my name is Renee Lee. I'm the Student Affairs Manager for summer session. We are hosting this ISA, Instructional Scheduling Assistant, and Summer Schedule Build training today. So thank you for joining us. I will introduce, actually, are we going over the overview first? Yeah, so we'll have an overview of what the training we'll cover today, and we'll do brief introductions with my teammates, and then we'll get going. This is being recorded, and we're gonna have this recorded and also the next one recorded, which the next one is hosted on Wednesday. So we're gonna see which one is better, in which one we say Celeste maybe, and then we'll post that or send it out to those who cannot join us or want to refer back to the training. So today we'll have some introductions for the team, looking at the difference in the summer, kind of an overview about summer for those who've not joined us before or want a refresher. And then Katie will go into demoing the ISA. We'll talk a little bit about the divisional reps from each area, and then time for Q&A in the end. Next. So Lisa, I'll let you go and introduce yourself.
Yay, I recognize some people that are here with us. I'm Lisa Bargabas. I'm the business manager at Summer Session. So if you have questions about instructor pay or TA allocation, that kind of thing, that's the area in Summer Session that I oversee. And I'm pitching in here with Renee. I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and again, my name is Renee Lee. I'm the Student Affairs Manager in Summer Session. And this, my role is not only for the students, but also we're managing the courses. So I believe I've interacted with a lot of you in the previous summer using the ISA and talking about courses and cancellations, etc. So I look forward to continuing that this year. And Katie?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Katie Freehafer. I'm the Technical Project Manager for the ISA. And I want to give a little shout out, though I won't make him introduce himself. I actually am going to be transitioning. I'm working on the ESR SIS project. And so my new PM backfill, Eric, has joined us and will be transitioning duties over the next couple of weeks. So for now, I'm still here, but yeah, that's the plan.
Thanks, Katie. And thanks, Eric. So we'll talk a little bit about the difference in the summer. It happens once a year, so we know that there are some differences that we want to make sure we're here to assist the departments. Basically, we know fall, winter, spring very well, but in the summer is a different format. Instead of your traditional 10 weeks, we have 2 5-week sessions, but we also have shorter ones like 3 weeks. And we also have longer ones like 8 weeks, and actually there's one that's 10 weeks. And we serve about half of the student population. Before this past summer, we used to serve about a third, but because of going remote, we've increased that capacity to be able to serve about 15,000 students this past summer. So it's really impressive. And besides our main UCSD students, about 5% of the enrolled population are visitors. And those visitors could be from other UCs or other universities around the country, and also international and high school students. So in general, for tuition and fees, in the summer, in fall, winter, spring, students are paying full-time or part-time, and there's also a non-resident fee. But in the summer, we don't have that structure. We charge students per unit, and it's the same fee for residents and non-residents. This is sort of important in the way that we want to let you know how students are looking at their summer enrollments, because they're paying by the number of units as they're going. And the only difference in the rate is with our UC students and non-UC visitors. So basically all UC students pay the same. And Lisa, can you talk a little bit about the faculty difference?
Yeah, sure. Just really quickly. So during the academic year, departments pay their faculty. They get, a dollar allocation for faculty FTE. Or they're hiring temporary lecturers for a quarter, but it's all, the teaching load is kind of built into the contracts, and the departments oversee everything, and they work with the registrar to put names on the schedule of classes, and the department oversees it all. But in summer, our faculty are not required to teach. It's completely optional. Departments identify who's going to teach their classes and recruit. but summer session actually pays the salaries. So we have an extra layer of oversight in summer session to make sure that we're revenue neutral with the expenses that we have in summer and what we're paying to faculty. And then summer session is going to be adding names to the schedule of classes as instructors are hired. The appointment letters all come out of summer session. So that's kind of the difference faculty-wise.
And as for courses, we in fall, winter, spring, your departments have that internal authority on the courses, and also you work directly with the registrar. In summer, it's slightly different because the courses have to be approved by summer session. And a lot of this decision is based on what Lisa just mentioned about being revenue neutral, just making sure that the courses have the accurate or adequate number of enrollments to make sure the campus is not losing out. And then also, after the course is approved, you'll work directly with the registrar to schedule dates and times. So that's kind of the difference between the academic year and summer. Next slide, Katie, please. And so apart from that general overview of the difference, we want to also bring your attention to the scheduling difference. And it's especially important because today we're doing the instructional scheduling training. So we want to let you know, who to go to when there are changes in the summer, when there are changes to your schedule in the summer. So if you're changing days and times, for a class that's already been approved and is on the schedule of classes, you can work directly with the registrar. Instead of Monday, Wednesday, you want to change it to, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you do that with the registrar. If it's an instructor change, because it involves Lisa's area for payroll, you will need to enter this information into the ISA. And the course is you're not canceling the course, you're just changing the name of the instructor, and that would help prompt Lisa's workflow to send out the letter to the instructor.
Can I just say too, Renee, that I'm so glad we have the ISA, because in previous years, whenever an instructor changed, we would get an email. Sometimes the email would come to summer payroll, sometimes to summer scheduling, sometimes it would come to me, sometimes it would go to Matt. And so it was really hard. I was always so terrified that I was going to miss, paying somebody on the payroll side. So now that everything goes into the ISA, we have like a master list of who's teaching what class, and it's all in one place, and we all know where to look. So that's been really awesome.
Yes, and thank you to the departments for putting that information in the ISA, because that really is helping us drive that process for Lisa's payroll. And then if you do need to change a session, so if an instructor says, I can't do session 1, now I'm switching to session 2, or for whatever reason, I think you'll first want to make sure that it's entered into the ISA. You're actually going to be canceling the course in that one session and putting into a new one. So it's not so clear cut in which area to work with, registrar and summer session. You're going to work with both. So you'll want to enter into the ISA, then propose a new class, and at the same time cancel the original one, and then work with the registrar to build that new class in the schedule of classes. So changing that session, it's really considered as canceling that first one and adding a new one.
And again, thankfully it's in the ISA, because changing the session changes the pay date for people. Yes. So if they're switching from session 2 to session 1, they're going to get paid a month earlier. So we have to make sure everything lines up with payroll. Thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great. Thanks, Lisa. And then finally, for cancellation, if for whatever reason the class needs to be canceled, we are relying on information entered into the ISA, because once you enter the cancellation, it prompts us to take action. This past summer, we have been reviewing all the cancellations that came through, and especially another layer of approval with the Dean of Undergrad Education and the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Educational Innovation. So we want to make sure that the cancellation is, seamless between the department, summer session, and the folks that are approving it. So that's basically the steps. It's a bit, involved, because it is a few places that we have to make sure, students are notified, enrollments are set to 0, so stopping future enrollments, and also the actual canceling of it with the registrar. And very important is with Lisa, the faculty side, to send out the cancellation letter to the instructor if the class is being canceled. Anything else you want to add to that, Lisa?
Oh, I think that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Next, please.
Okay, so general timeline, we are in October, which I can't believe November will be this weekend. And right now, departments are deciding what courses they want to teach, and you're all going to be putting them into the ISA, and we're asking that your courses be submitted by November 12th. After courses are submitted, we present all the courses that have been submitted for review with our summer session advisory committee. We have faculty on that committee from all the divisions, and we have some student representatives too. And we look at the slate of courses, and then summer session will take their input and approve the classes. So before we go to winter break, you'll know what classes have been approved, and summer session will actually post a preview of courses on our website so students can see what courses and what sessions they'll be offered. There won't be days and times yet, but it seems like a lot of students go home, although maybe they're at home already now. But when we were on campus, it was even more important because they're trying to plan their summer with their parents, right? Like, are you coming home for the summer? Are you going to stay there? What are you doing? So we want to give students a look at what's coming in the summer in December before the winter break. And then when we come back in January, you're going to be managing changes to your courses in the ISA and working with the registrar to schedule days and times, all the way up until we launch, but your schedule builds are still due January 28th to the registrar. So that's kind of the big picture of what's happening next. Go ahead, Katie, that's good. Thanks.
This is me, right? Lisa?
Yep. Back to Renee.
Okay, yes, I know, yeah. So so all course changes and all course submissions are going to be done in the ISA. That includes, instructors, what sessions, cancellations. We really do want to make sure to use the ISA as a central place for us to have this data, like Lisa mentioned earlier. Before using the ISA, we were looking at 5 different inboxes, email inboxes, to make sure that we're not missing any information. So it's really important to maintain our use of the ISA. For those that are offering special topics, please remember to put in the subtitles. That's very important to look at the enrollment histories for us and for the approval process. And for kind of the special programming, like the global seminars and travel studies, please remember to add that in. And also for success programs, which is like our summer bridge. So those are very important also in our review with the faculty board to look at all the courses offered from the department as a whole. So don't forget those.
And then we have your best friends to use when you're scheduling for summer. We do have our guidebook, which has a lot of policies and procedures. Page 14 is where the course information starts, and it's linked right on our summer session website under Staff and Faculty Guidebook. We have a 5-year report, which will show you all the courses your department's offered in the past 5 years and how the student enrollments looked. So we usually encourage departments to choose classes where there's been a lot of student interest. So that might help you as you're deciding what courses to offer. And then our ISA Quick Start, Renee and I just put together a quick 2-page cheat sheet basically on starting with the ISA, because the guidebook is pretty heavy on text and policy. So that's another document you can find under the staff and faculty section. You click where the guidebook is, it's listed right under there.
And then number 3, if you plan to offer classes in special session, be sure to use or to identify which subterms. So typically we have the 2 5-week sessions, session 1 and session 2, but we also have this special session, which has that variance of the different weeks, like 3, 8, or 10-week classes. So we do provide that flexibility for departments to use that. But be sure to use the correct calendar dates, because those are what's set up in the registrar within the system. So we have to adhere to those.
Very good. Number 4, the Senate did approve us to have remote instruction for summer 2021. So if that's an option for your faculty as you're planning right now. I think as far as resources for in-person, that's kind of evolving. I just saw the email today from EVC Simmons about some outdoor classroom space. So I think we're going to see a variety of offerings coming up by summer. Let's see, number 5, the incentive pilot's continuing. So if your department offers more courses and has more student enrollments than it did in 2018, your department gets more funding. So you may have experienced this pilot started in 2019, but they announced it very late. It was continued in 2020. So you may have been getting some pressure the past year to offer more courses, and it does benefit your department when you do that. So that's where that's coming from. It will continue for 2021. And I think that's it, Katie.
All right, so now I get to tell you all about the ISA. So as Lisa and Renee have mentioned, it stands for Instructional Scheduling Assistant. And so what is it? Most of you are probably familiar since there's been quite a lot of information coming out about it recently, but just to give you an overview, it's a custom tool that we've developed in Central Campus that's sponsored by the Office of the Executive Vice Chancellor. And the intention is to assist all academic units, departments, and programs with planning their class schedules, facilitating that communication that happens with instructors, you're receiving the approval for summer session class offerings, and this is all going to the registrar. It is an active project with a small development team. We're based in the Division of Biological Sciences, but we partner with many groups across campus in addition to Central ITS to offer a sort of a full set of features that continues to be built onto. Right now, we're actually working on a registrar module so that instead of emailing your schedule build to the registrar's office, in the future, you'll be able to click a button and send it over to their side of the ISA. So stay tuned for that in the future. But for now, any tweaks to existing features, any requests for major upgrades, anything like that, we work very closely with the ISA work group. I'll put their contact information up in a later slide, but basically that's a work group that's made up of representatives from all across campus. There's somebody from every major division on the work group, or at least a spot reserved for every major division on the work group. And so we work very closely with them to understand the stakeholders' needs, your needs, and to prioritize requests so that we're working on the things that will have the greatest impact and the most benefit to everybody across campus. So yeah, when you're using the ISA, if you ever run into a problem, if there's a bug, if something's acting weird or not acting how you expect it to, please use that send feedback button in the lower left corner of the menu. That communication goes directly to the dev team. And if it's a bug, they generally can get on it right away. It doesn't even have to go through the middleman of the technical project manager. They can just start working on it. So please, 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 if you see anything amiss, we really want to know about it because that is something that we're going to want to fix. It's not normal for there to be a broken feature in the ISA. So please let us know. That feedback loop is super important. All right, so we have a new Blink page. If you search for ISA on Blink, or if you go to this URL, we'll be sharing these slides out with you after this session is over. You can find basic information about how to get access, who the ISA workgroup is. There's links to live training sessions like this one, or information with days, times, and Zoom registration information there. And we're building up our online training resources right now. So there's links to previously recorded webinars and other trainings. Some of those are out of date, but the work group is very actively working on getting all of that training updated so that you guys have the most up-to-date information at your fingertips. And of course, the contact and feedback as always. So yeah, the reason why ISA has been sort of in the academic affairs news recently is because especially having gone through this rapid change with COVID, I think you all can recognize that each department has their classes that they need to schedule, but every single department gathered up all together, all that information flows through summer session and through the office of the registrar. So you might be dealing with a subset of classes in your area, but the registrar and the summer session office are dealing with huge volumes of information from all the departments on campus. So the ISA is a tool that is intended to provide consistency to how that information flows into their offices, to reduce errors in the schedule build spreadsheets, and to decrease the amount of time it takes for the registrar's office and for summer session to process each unit's individual schedule information. There are some bonus features that I'm not going to talk about today that have to do with instructor communication and how to organize that. But for the bulk of today, I'm going to be focusing on the summer session specific information. And you can either watch the other training materials or sign up for a one-on-one session with myself, or go to your work group rep to find out about these other great features. So with that being said, how to build your summer session schedule in the ISA. So first of all, if you log into the ISA and you go to the summer session tab over here on the left, one quick note that I wanted to make about the timeline for summer session is that when you think about the academic calendar, it goes fall, winter, spring, and summer is the trailer term. However, in the ISA or in the general schedule build timeline, you're typically scheduling in advance. So you might be working on, fall 2022 while summer 21 is still getting worked on or something like that. There's often overlaps in the business process. So the ISA overall in this top left corner tells you what working year you are working within. But since the summer session approval and scheduling timeline is offset from the regular working year, there's a quick link at the top to be able to switch to the current working year for the summer session schedule builder. So that's just a quick note there. But it'll always tell you here at the top in this kind of announcement block area, whether you are working in the current year or outside the current year, and it will guide you to where you need to be. So when you're getting started, you have two options. If you are using the ISA to copy from a previous year using the annual schedule builder, that's a really good way to kind of get a jump start on your class schedule, because frequently departments have a very similar number and distribution of course offerings year to year. And so if you're a department that your schedule generally looks pretty similar, copying is probably a good way to start. Or if not, you can always start from scratch in the summer schedule builder. And that's easy too. So from the copy from a previous year, if you log into ISA and you haven't used it before, or you haven't been working in the working year you've selected before, it will give you this pop-up at the top that says, there aren't any classes scheduled for this year. Would you like to copy from a previous year? And this is in the annual. So once you click on that button, if you have never, ever used ISA before and you want to start with a copy, we have preloaded data from 2011 to 2017 in the ISA database that's from ISIS. So if you wanted to get started there, you could. As years goes by, that's probably less and less useful, so you don't have to copy. If you've used ISA before and you already have information in there from last year, you could pick 1920 and it would work great. We've recently added some new features so that now you can choose whether or not you want to include instructors, include non-primary class components, or include days, times, and locations in that copy. And then you can also select the classes. So if you see down here, the summer term and you wanted to select all the summer term classes, or if you just wanted to copy fall, you have a lot more flexibility of what you want to copy as far as your annual schedule build goes now. Once you do that copy, you can't take it back though, so just make sure you've got the things selected that you want to see. On this screenshot, I just wanted to call attention to this pink box here. So something that we've also recently updated is that the way that temporary courses work, I'll cover that in a little bit. It's now a lot more accurate when it comes to what is in ISIS and how temporary courses are being approved. And so if there was a course that you copied from a previous year, that right here in this kind of gray area, it shows the terms that it's active for. So this class end-termed in fall 19, which means it's no longer valid for the year that you copied it into. So that pink is just kind of alerting you to the fact that this class or this course is not active for the term that you're in. So you can go clean that up. if you wanted to start from scratch, you would go just directly to your summer session schedule builder page. And it looks very similar to the annual schedule builder page, but it just has summer 1, 2, and special summer terms here. And if you click on that add class button, this is the basic information you'll need to enter, the instruction type. This is found on your course approval form and or could also be found by checking ISIS on this screen here. It must be correct in order for section codes to be generated correctly and for it to go into ISIS correctly. So it's really critical that you check your instruction type and make sure that you are selecting the correct instruction type according to your course approval form. Projected enrollment becomes your enrollment limit once you are in the kind of quarterly build area. So you can go ahead and put that in. Some departments use it a little bit differently when they're projecting versus putting the enrollment limit in, but the number will be the same. And it's optional to add instructors at this stage. So this is what that looks like. If you clicked add class from the summer session schedule builder, you're required to enter these 2 pieces of information. And like I said, please make sure the instruction type is correct. Going back to temporary courses and instructors. So what is a temporary course? That could be a course that is already existing, but it's undergoing an update to the title or update to some of the other information that's in eCourse, or it could be a completely new course that has not been approved yet and is also winding its way through eCourse. In either of these cases, it's useful to have this temporary course in ISA so that you can put it on your schedule, assign an instructor to it, use it to get approved by summer session. You can do all of those actions with a temporary course the same that you would with a regular course. Similarly, you can put temporary instructor records into the ISA. That would typically be for new instructors whose hiring information isn't complete yet. You know, in the old system, they weren't in PPS. In the new system, they may not be in UC Path, and there might be some bugs to work out in UC Path. That instructor can be input to the ISA and assigned to a class and approved by summer session. The only thing you can't do with that is conduct your instructor scheduling preferences and communicate with the instructor, because if they don't have their AD SSO account yet, they can't log into ISA yet. So that's kind of something to be aware of. This is where you would create a temporary course. It's under unit maintenance. You can create a new course, enter a subject code, a course code, and a course title. The recently released feature that allows you to reconcile that is called course reassignment. So it will show you on this left side any of your temporary courses that have this little caution icon here. And once you've selected it, it will pull up for you a list of any real courses whose course code matches the temporary. So that, you know, you see that this is AIP 97. It's giving you a list of the official version of AIP 97, and you can click that, check down here the class that it's scheduled for, and then update the course assignments. And that will seamlessly, anywhere that you were using the temporary course as a placeholder throughout the ISA, it will seamlessly merge so that the official record is now the one being used. For instructors, similarly, if you go over to your instructor list, there's this add new instructor button at the top, and that will allow you to enter some temporary information. And then once you go to merge instructor records, it will show you a list of the temporary records, and then you can search over here. Oops, I keep clicking, thinking I'm in the ISA. And then you would go over here and search for that person. And once their official record is located in PPS or UC Path, it would show up here on the right, and you would seamlessly merge those again. So like I said, both can be used for creating your summer schedule, for use in ISA, for making class assignments. The summer session office can approve those classes in the same way they would with official records. The only catch is that if the course hasn't been approved or the instructor hasn't been officially entered into UC Path by the time you're submitting your class to the registrar, so that would be in January, the registrar can't put that class or that instructor into ISIS if they're not official. So at that point in time, you would need to either reassess whether the class can be offered, if it's going to be approved in time for the term to start, or if not, you need to coordinate with the registrar's office to see what can be done and ask them for assistance. Yeah, so back to summer session. The approval process is really the main thing that's different between the regular fall, winter, spring terms and summer. what you would do first, what I kind of already went over, is you would first create your schedule in the summer session schedule builder. And once it's ready, you submit it to summer session via the ISA. After that point, you would wait for approval from them after they've had their committee meeting. And then anything that was approved will automatically show up in its correct term within the quarterly schedule builder. So I'll pause there to show you here. Once you've entered all your classes, I just kind of have some placeholders in here. You would click this Send to Summer Session button on the right. That will pop up with a summary of the classes that you have in your schedule. And then there's this endorsement acknowledgement step where you would have to check the box that says, I acknowledge that my DBO has approved the proposed courses, etc. And I acknowledge that my chair, provost, or divisional dean has endorsed and approved the proposed courses. So that's a requirement. And once it's in, it goes over to the summer session side of the dashboard where they can do their magic, and then it will show up in your dashboard. And actually, I forgot to submit, or I forgot to paste a couple screenshots in there. So why don't I actually give me one sec here and pause my share. Actually, I don't know if I can.
Katie, there's a question in the chat too, kind of on this
Oh,
topic.
sure. This would be the perfect time for
Is
that.
now a good time? Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is there any way to copy an end-dated class into a valid class for that quarter?
Copy an end-dated class into a valid class.
Yeah.
I think I need a little bit of clarification. So when you say copy, do you mean you're trying to create a new offering of an end-dated class?
Correct.
Okay, then in that case, you would use the temporary the temporary course. You would just create a temporary course that has the same title as your end-dated class, and you could use that temporary version. And then,
So the course already exists
Mhm.
in both versions. I just want to move the iterations that are in the pink line that's end dated into the current line.
I believe that you could do that using the course reassignment feature.
Oh,
Can you, yeah. I could walk you through that in the end, actually. If you just want to stay on, I could go into the ISA and kind of mock it up and make sure that what we're talking about, that we're on the same page. Does that make
Great.
sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Sure, no problem. All right, I'm almost where I want to be in the summer session. Okay, cool. So I will resume my share. So can everybody see? Zoom is caught up here for a second. Oh, I think my Zoom is stuck. Let me stop and then reshare. There we go. Can everybody see this now?
Yes, thank you, Kate.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the screenshot I forgot to put in, and that is that after you've clicked that Send to Summer Session button, what you'll start to see is as approvals or denials or cancellations start trickling in, you'll see on your summer schedule builder that green indicates an approved class, gray indicates a pending class that hasn't been approved yet, and red can indicate a denied or a canceled class. So you kind of get a visual overview on your summer session schedule builder. There's also the summer session class approvals page that gives it to you in more of a list format. And so it has timestamps on there and tells you the status, and you can filter by approved or canceled, or use these filters at the top to see what's going on. And if you're going to request a cancellation, you can do it either here on the summer session class approvals page, or you can also do it using the sort of ... menu here. I believe for an approved class, if you click the delete button, it will prompt you to give a reason for your cancellation that needs to be acknowledged. And then if a class has been canceled already, it just stays on your dashboard. It doesn't let you delete it because it's there as a historical record. Yeah, so I'll insert those two screenshots into the final slide deck before we share it out. So getting back to where I was, let's see, approval process. Okay, so once you have everything that's approved, all your approved classes will automatically go onto your quarterly schedule builder. So that basically makes it impossible for you to enter a class that hasn't been approved, and that really helps keep the summer session office and the registrar's office in alignment with classes that are approved are the only classes that are allowed to go onto the schedule. From the quarterly schedule builder, you can add all the rest of your class components, such as your discussion sections, labs, days, times, rooms, etc. If you are offering that class in one of your departmental spaces, you can select that from the dropdown. If the room doesn't appear on the dropdown, please use that send feedback form to request it to be added. We're maintaining a static list of departmental spaces since there isn't a centrally managed way to do that. So yeah, just shoot us a note and the dev team's happy to add it. The class components must be scheduled to match the weekly contact hours as also indicated on your course approval form. So please just make sure there too that all the numbers are adding up correctly. And if the section will be offered remotely due to COVID and has scheduled days and times, please use the new R class selection from the dropdown. So that's in the departmental space dropdown, but it's just the one that's reserved for remote. So here we are in the quarterly schedule builder in the menu on the left. Every class that you entered in your summer session schedule builder that was approved should show up here as a line that has one of these red calendar icons on it. And when you click that red icon, it pulls up the rest of the class details where you can add all the components that you want, add all the days, times, locations, etc. Everything that I just talked about. And here is that location pop-up that gets added when you click add day and time. And we've got a little note there, a little call out that lets you know, select our class. So when you click that select room drop down, our class should be one of the first things that you see. And then once it's on the quarterly schedule build, you're kind of moving back into the regular fall, winter, spring workflow. So I won't go over this completely in detail because there is a recent registrar training that we offered and that one's recorded and is available. So these slides are basically a repeat, but just briefly on the quarterly schedule builder page, you would enter all those day times section information and then use the submit schedule to registrar button over here on the right to generate your export for the registrar. This is also a two-part process. The first part is to generate the spreadsheet, and you also have an acknowledgement step here that says that your chair, provost, or divisional dean has approved the proposed courses and instructors, which is especially critical right now with COVID. When you generate that spreadsheet, our system does its best guess to generate section codes according to the registrar's algorithm, but it really only works well once. So if you generate that spreadsheet a second or third time, you're going to need to go in and manually check to make sure that the section codes are what you expect them to be or what they should be for the registrar. Once those section codes are generated or you've adjusted them and you're ready to go, you can email that spreadsheet to the registrar's office. And then step two, that's really critical, is to fill out the supplemental scheduling survey. The registrar's office just revamped this so that instead of the old form, there's a new Qualtrics form. And it has a lot of information on it, including, skip over to this one, subtitles. These appear in the ISA, but it still needs to be entered in the supplemental form for the time being. Co-instructors are in the same boat. Right now, you can put multiple co-instructors into ISA, and that will go across to the summer session approval step, but they still need to be entered in the Qualtrics form for the registrar's process to get into ISIS. We're in this kind of clunky-ish in-between phase where there are still some manual steps that have to happen that can't be accommodated automatically through ISA. Cross-listed, conjoined, and co-scheduled classes still need to be entered in the supplemental. Pending course approvals, special facilities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The eventual goal is that when the ISA has the registrar module fully featured so that they are doing everything through a click of the button through ISA instead of through the manual exported spreadsheet, Hummingbird script uploading to ISIS and all of these one-offs, that this will be obsolete and we will, deprecate it. But for the time being, we get to do the in-between work. So yeah, that is kind of the CliffsNotes version of all of the things that you can do with ISA with regard to summer session. I just want to mention the work group again. This is a link to our Blink page. Look for ISA on Blink. And we have the list here of the reps for each of the divisions and major departments on campus. So figure out, what your division is, and then look for your rep, and they would be happy to be a resource to you, to provide a little bit of one-on-one, or to direct you to training that's available, or just let you know how you can get your questions answered. So please take advantage of them. They're a super nice crew. And with that, I will turn it back over to Renee for the Q&A portion.
Thank you, Katie. And for the 2 groups that currently don't have a rep, any of us on the work group will be happy to assist and help while we're getting those spots filled. I do want to mention and Lisa, if you can help me with this, is the instructor names added to the schedule. I know that part is included in the schedule, but can we talk a little bit about adding the actual name to the schedule of classes and that process?
So how it happens, you mean?
That the registrar is not, I guess we have
Yeah.
to add it in because we have to know that the appointment is accepted.
Right, because teaching is optional in summer, and our office sends out the appointment letters and gets the acceptances sent back to us. We are the ones in some session that will take the step to add the names to the schedule of classes. And then if it's a brand new person who's never taught here before, they need a PID, which means they have to be hired in UC Path and get a PID in order for us to attach them to a class on the schedule. So that's the part that's been a little bit frustrating as we're launching into UC Path for the first time this past summer. I think a lot of the kinks have been worked out. Fingers crossed, hopefully it'll go a little smoother next summer. I know Katie mentioned in her demo that putting the instructor name is optional, because I know some departments like math, they know the math classes they want to teach, but they're not sure exactly who's going to be teaching yet. But if you do know who your instructors are and you put their names in, it'll just help me be able to hire them faster. So I would encourage you to put names in as soon as you know them. That'd be great.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any questions from the group? Feel free to write in the chat or talk, unmute. If there's anything that Katie, myself, and Lisa can clarify.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of information, so it's hard to go through it as much detail as might be required. But if you've got a question, often other people have the same question. So yeah, please don't be afraid to speak up. Right. Helen, I think it was your question earlier about the end dated class. So I could show you that. And then if people think of questions while I'm figuring that out, you can pop them in the chat or just wait until we're done.
I have one other thing to mention. It just came to my mind. For those that are in that are offering graduate programs that are self-support. So what I mean is they have a different set of tuition per unit that's charged. So not the usual graduate per unit rate, but if your own department has your own set of tuition, for those classes, be sure that they are scheduled in the special session. And that reason is for the fees. So all of those fees, the tuition that's different, it's only set up in special session. So that's been kind of the way that the registrar has been managing those types of tuition. So just be sure that those graduate programs, they will need to be in special session in order to accommodate that, that tuition fee charge. And I believe we have a question in the chat. Do you have any advice for associate ins teaching a summer course, Lisa?
We have a lot of associate ins that teach. Like normally during the academic year, there'll be 30 or 40 maybe associate ins who teach. And this past year, I think we had like 175 associate ins who taught in summer. So it's a great way for our students to work and get the teaching experience. The Teaching and Learning Commons has training for associate ins on how to deliver a class when, especially with Return to Learn. I think they have a lot of resources for remote teaching. So am I answering what you're asking, Andrew? I'm not sure if you had a specific.
I was just more concerned about their PIDs, being able to enter that into ISA so we can get them as like the instructor.
Yeah, that's another, I was just talking to Courtney and Casey in grad division about that. We're trying to come up with some workarounds, but right now it's just, we have to wait until their appointment like is active for them to show up.
Okay.
But so Katie, in the ISA, if it's a grad student teaching, do they do anything different as far as instructor name?
I don't think so. The way it currently works, anybody with a valid PID shows up in the instructor list. So you should be able to search for them in the same way that you would for regular instructors and interact with them like that. Does that make sense?
Hey, Katie, it's Alyssa from the ISA work group. I represent arts and humanities, so you guys can always ask me if you have questions. But I was-
Yay, Alyssa, thank you.
So I was going to say for when we submitted our summer session proposals last year, we did put in the intended associate name in the ISA for the submission with just a comment that their assignment was pending approval of their associate and appointment. So we put it in so that summer session had an idea of who we were planning to hire, but with a note that that was still pending approval.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's super important. We read all the notes.
Yeah.
How about the Lisa? How about the summer graduate teaching scholars? Is there anything different with that program?
Nothing different. That's a program, for those of you who don't know, through academic affairs. Departments can nominate grad students to teach for summer, and they're committing to be in a cohort of other students in this program. And they also go through training through the Teaching and Learning Commons, and they get an additional stipend for the training. So you might be submitting students for the Summer Graduate Teaching Scholars Program. And if you are, you should also put them in the ISA as if they're teaching summer session like normal, because if for some reason they're not accepted into that program, they could still teach for summer session. They still have to be approved by graduate division, but you could still submit them as an instructor for summer session, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Lisa.
Uh-huh.
Anything else, or should we let Katie go in to do the troubleshooting for Helen?
Yeah, you guys are welcome to hang on while I do that. And like I said, if you come up with more questions, just pop them in the chat or just hang on till the end and I can answer and go through things one-on-one. So yeah, all right, I'll share my screen again to Chrome. All right, Helen, so you were asking if you have an end-dated class and you want to turn it into a valid class.
So I have two versions of the same class. One is end dated, one is not. All of my copied, like the ones from before, are in the end dated version of it.
Gotcha.
So I just want to move them up.
Yeah. What department are you? What's your unit?
MCWP.
MCWP. Let me see if I can actually find your unit, because then it might be easier to use the real thing. So you are saying that you have what's the name of the course that you're talking about?
MCWP 40 and 50 and 125. I can't remember. I think it might be all three. Definitely 40, definitely 50. Yeah, 40 and 50.
Okay, so and so this one looks like it's active because it's got the little infinity symbol here, and so it's actually showing the most recent course.
Yes, but can I show you my screen?
Sure. Yeah.
Here's what I'm looking at. So this is what I want. I just need it to be here.
Yeah, so if you go, let me think. If you go to the course reassignment tab, I'm trying to think if there's a way that you kind of use the course reassignment tab to sort of shuffle them over. Yeah, so click on course reassignment.
Which
on the
is
left side. It's underneath, yeah, right there. You got it.
okay.
And choose the one that's end dated. I think it's the winter 18. Is it the second one?
Yeah, this is one of them.
One of them. Yeah. So then on the right hand side, if you click select new course at the top there, that should be the current one. And then
Okay.
it'll show you below each of the, yep, just select them all and then hit update. And it should magically
Sweet.
update them all. Mhm.
That is, I think, helpful.
Yeah, good. And then you don't
Yay,
do it again.
less
Yeah.
red.
Yeah.
So the other
Yippee.
question I have is I have kind of a similar, similar issue here where I have like, I have 40 sections.
Mhm.
And is there any way to just be like, I want 40 versions of this here?
Yes. So we just introduced a new feature a couple weeks ago that allows you to clone an instance of a class. So any one
And
of
can
the,
you, oh yes, I did see that clone. So can I drag this to here? Can I do a reassign to a different
drag
quarter?
it, but if you click on the little hamburger icon, the 3 lines, and click clone class.
Okay, that's what I did to create these.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe, let me think. So what you would want to do is if you created one instance of the class in Spring
Yeah.
Quarter, yeah, just do that again. Just create one instance in Spring Quarter and then you would clone the number
Okay.
you want additionally.
If it would be possible, if it's a class that's already been created in the system, for it to automatically assign the instruction type, that would be awesome.
When you clone it, it'll clone anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying when I create, like when I click this, if
Mhm.
it was automatically assigned, I wouldn't, because our classes have super weird, they all have different instruction types and I confuse them.
We're working on validation right now of that type of data so that basically we're trying to use campus data to say any instance of MCWP 40 is always a lecture because that's what it is on the course approval form.
Yeah.
We're in process of that. So that is definitely on the roadmap for the near term. It's just not out yet. So definitely hear you loud and clear that that's on the way.
Yay.
Yeah, trying to error proof it as much as possible so that you don't have to go back and look at your course approval and check ISIS for something that is, a matter of accuracy for campus data. It should be seamless. We're working on it.
And are you involved with the supplemental instruction thing, or is that all the registrar?
That's all the registrar's office. Yeah. That's
Okay, I will send, I have questions because, I think biology has some similar stuff where you have so many instances of the same thing and they need to be paired and tripleted, but you don't know exactly how that's going to play out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I work with the registrar's office directly on that.
Yeah.
We definitely are trying to add more robust functionality to the ISA, but it takes time because we have to narrow down exactly like what is the precise business rule that can be programmed by a computer that doesn't have that human intuition or experience or ability to discern between what needs to happen. So yeah, a lot of it,
Yeah.
unfortunately, is still requires human touch.
Okay, and last question. Any news on when we're going to be able to add TAs as instructors for sections? Because that would make a huge difference.
That is not on the short-term roadmap. I believe is it the Easy system? Is the system that does TA assignments and those kind of things?
Not easy. It's it used to be ASIS
It's
and
the
now
A,
it's the
yeah,
IA. And
IA.
Right. Yes.
I mean, and the thing is that it just doesn't work for because it's scheduling. It's not about, it's not an after the fact thing. It's a needs to be included as we're submitting the schedule thing.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's not on the short-term roadmap. We did just start a conversation with Stephen Hamilton, who administers the Easy system or who created the Easy system, to link up some pieces of information. And so it is possible that that will get brought in, but it hasn't been super high priority at this point. So yeah, we've got a lot on our plate currently for getting the registrar module
Yeah.
updated. And I imagine that that would come right after the registrar module kind of gets handled. So yeah, talk to your rep, have your rep prioritize it in our next round of future updates for the main ISA, but that would be the best way to get it on our radar and get it
okay.
prioritized.
Thanks so much, Katie.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad the live demo worked too. It's always like, whew.
Anything else from the group?
Great.
If not, then thank you so much, everybody. And thank you to Katie for sharing your knowledge and your training with us.
Thank you,
And Lisa,
Katie.
thank you for your information about the faculty and summer session. So thank
Yeah.
you all. And
Thank you.
yeah, happy summer 2021.
This is what you want to think about right now, summer.
Yeah,
That's,
really.
that's right. Yeah. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.